This video will show how to assemble, run, and disassemble the Robotany machine. First, carry the equipment to the sampling site, and then first step is to assemble the frame. Grab one of the aluminum rails, put it on the ground with the hangers facing up, then take two legs and put them into the sockets on either end of that rail, and turn that on its side. You don't have to put them in too tightly yet because we'll tighten those down later. Next, take the longer PVC beams, these are the header beams, put them into the other sockets, and then take the second rail and put that on top. The hanger should be facing toward you. So now that they're seated a little bit, push down with your whole weight and seat them all the way into the sockets, and then turn the frame on its back so that all four legs will be pointing up. So grab the final two legs, put them into the remaining two sockets, and flip the whole thing over onto the legs. Then go around to each leg and put some of your weight on it so that it seats the leg all the way into the socket, and then the frame is ready. Next, we attach the bridge to the frame. Find the side of the frame that has two hangers sliding in the rail, and find the side of the bridge that has two pins, and put each pin through one of those hangers. Then go to the side that has only one pin and one hanger, line up the holes, and put the pin in from the outside. Not too tight. It should be snug, but not really tight. The bridge should be kind of resting on those hangers. Next, take the winch pins and put them out so that they are hanging loosely. Move the bridge up toward the close end of the frame. Then put the wire around the inside corner of that PVC fitting, and then stick the pin into the hole in the side of the fitting, and do the same with the other side. Take the wire, put it around the inside corner of the PVC fitting, and then put the wire around to the outside and stick the pin in to the hole in the outside. Next, get out the trolley. First, make sure that the curly phone cord is well seated into the socket in the trolley, otherwise the LED won't be able to activate. Slide the trolley onto the bridge, making sure that the side with the snap is on the belt side, and then snap it into place. Then you can move by hand the trolley to one side of the bridge, closer to the limit switch, and then plug in the other side of the curly phone cord into the socket on the bridge. Then grab the camera, turn it on and make sure all the settings are correct, at least the first time. Then you twist the kit lens all the way to the hard stop at 55mm focal length and take off the cap. Then set the trigger to quick response remote. Then put the threaded rod on the camera through the hole in the bracket on the trolley, and screw on the nut from the other side. Now the camera is attached to the trolley. Next, gently pull the bridge back so that the wire unspools, and once it is at the end, turn the spool by hand just a little bit to get the slack out, maybe a half turn, and check that there aren't any snags in the wires and that everything else looks good. Then you can turn on the machine. The first thing it does is drives all the way to one end of the bridge and hits the limit switch, and once it knows where it is, it then drives itself to the position of the first photograph. And you might want to use a whiteboard to write down some information about your sampling site, or a color calibration card. Put those in the first photograph on the ground. Then after it takes the first photograph, it makes some more sounds that tell you that it's time to take those away, and it takes another photograph in exactly the same spot. That will be the first photograph in a series of 24 that it automatically takes to precisely cover a 1x1 meter square of ground. Once it takes all the photographs, it will play a song and then beep every few seconds to let you know that it's still on. To set up for another round of photographs, all you need to do is pull it by hand to the other side of the bridge, and once again re-spool it just a little bit by hand to get the slack out, and then you just turn it off and back on. If there are poor lighting conditions due to dappling or other effects, it's a good idea to throw some shade on the piece of ground that is being photographed. And you can do this with either an umbrella and do it by hand, or you can use a shower curtain and some clips to attach it to the frame and put the whole 1 by 1 meter square in shadow. A nice feature of this frame size is that it's fairly easy for most people to just pick it up and move it a short distance while it's still assembled, like this. It's really not that heavy, and it shouldn't damage anything as long as you don't trip and fall. Once you have finished using the machine, then it is time to disassemble it and put everything away. First, unscrew the nut on the bottom of the camera, turn it off, twist the lens back to its original position, and put the cap back on the lens. Next, you unsnap the trolley from the belt and disconnect the curly phone cord from the bridge, and then you just slide the trolley off the end and put the trolley and camera into whatever backpack or bag you've been using for it. Next, pull out the winch pins from the frame. There should be a winch pin on each side of the frame, so you pull it out, and then I just drop the pin into the bridge between the L-beams. It's a good place to store them. Then I go into the frame, pull out the single pin from the hanger, and then slide the 2 pins out of the 2 hangers, and then put the bridge to one side. Now to disassemble the frame, put it onto one of the rails, and then twist the legs to help get them out. It's really hard to just pull them straight out. Twisting helps a lot. And then I put my shoulder under the rail to get one side off, and then again twist to help the pipes come out of the sockets. If everything is just way too hard to get out of the sockets, then maybe it's a good idea to take some fine grit sandpaper and just make them slightly thinner, just a little bit, because especially the first few times you use this, it's going to be pretty hard to get the pipe out of the sockets. And then you just put everything back into the bag that you're using to store it, including any shading equipment. Zip those up and go on to your next field site. I hope this video has been useful, and please let us know if you have questions about any specific steps.